when we have the responsibility of open the book of God to share, tries to be accurate to the moment, to this word that the Lord proposes in our hearts, that is direct to the story and to the moment of a church. And during the last times, the Lord has awakened my mind, my heart, in a text that is in Isaiah 6. And I want to develop these 8 verses, the first 8 verses, under the title, The God that is sat on the throne. In times like those, we need to refresh in our mind, in our life, but overall in our spirit, this God that is sitting on the throne. Because sometimes we look down and we look around us, we see the governments, we see the great countries taking decisions, and in some way we come and think that they are the ones who determine where we walk. But a man and a woman that call themselves Christians understand that there is a power and a government over all. There is a God that is reigning. We could have only an idea. Religious and not deep idea of who God is. But there is another danger. As believers, is that we are in this flow that want to take us to humanist, religious humanism, and the religious humanism points in the Bible at the things that have to do with me, with my humanity. And of course, there are important things that God wants to know about me and about you, but this is not the most important. The most important is our knowledge of God, because when I know God, I know myself. I get to know myself. When I know who He is, I can understand who I am. He was the one who made you. What I think about God will determine who I will arrive, who, who I will be, and who I will get to arrive. And I want to explain it through Isaiah. Isaiah is probably the most important prophet in the Old Testament. And you could say, why? Okay, Isaiah was an incredible man. Is the longest ministry known from a person in the Bible. The longest ministry. Uh, uh, Between 50 and 60 years, he ministry the people of God. Many gods, many kings passed through his ministry, and he was there. And the question is why the ministry, the Isaiah ministry was so powerful. How come 700 years before Jesus came could understand him so well? Isaiah says the virgin will have a baby. 7 centuries before, he says we have been given a child. It's him. In chapter 53, started drawing Jesus in such a way that you reject chapter 53. They want to take it away from the scriptures because it's Jesus' description in such a way that you cannot deny it. He is known as the Messianic prophet, the one who drew Jesus in a wonderful way. Who is this Isaiah? Why he is the most referenced prophet in the New Testament from the Old Testament? Why? It has a lot to do with chapter 6 in his book. This chapter shows a before and an after in the life of Isaiah. He was already having his role at that time. We have 6 chapters of his story, but in a crisis time, in a moment when a king dies, and the question is which king will come, a good one, a bad one. But there we have Isaiah and says, in the year that the Uzziah died, this is the way the chapter 6 starts. A time of anxiety. He starts pointing that he had an experience with God, an extraordinary experience with God that changed him and transformed him. From that moment, he is not the same one. He knows God in a deeper way. He hasn't finished knowing him, but he has an experience with God that let him know why he was born, why, who is he, why he lives where he lives, why he worked on what he worked. He starts having answers, and his life takes a different direction. This man he had a long ministry and a deep ministry. This is the great difference of Isaiah. In a different way as the Christianism today, that sometimes is just something superficial. And today we need to understand what Isaiah lived, to live it together, to learn from him, and have a long ministry and a deep ministry. Just once with my hand held me. We want to have a long and deep ministry. The world we live, it's very superficial, and this has implication. It's not the same a mushroom than a tree. There, I read that a mushroom can get his maturity 60 minutes later. In 60 minutes, they get to be all he can be. But the oak, the tree oak, lasts 60 years to get its maturity. And today's charge is between the fungus ministry or the oak ministry. Lord, we are here once more in this beautiful land that we bless, and is blessed because many children many children of you live in this place. Your mercy, your grace is rich in this land, and we ask you to help us to get to know you, so you can bless our lives, our families, and our cities. In Jesus' name, that your word may be able to touch our heart. I'm going to read verse 3 of Isaiah. In Isaiah 6:3, this experience changed him. Isaiah learned three aspects from God that changed all his life. He he was in a deep experience. He was tired of the superficiality, and when there is a crisis, he goes to a deeper dimension, and he sees angelical beings, and these angelic angels said, cried to another, one to another, holy, holy, holy. It's not just a song, a verse learned by heart. It is a living experience, and it goes, the Lord is almighty, and the whole earth is full of his glory. He knows three things from God that changed everything. Three things that changed absolutely everything. Let's go part by part. There we have the first experience. We're going to take it from the text. He was impacted, impressed by God's holiness. It's the first experience he lived. Learning it is one thing, singing a song, but what he's living is a living and personal experience with the holiness of God. It is so different that he concludes, there is no tomorrow for me, I'm going to die, because me, being a man with dark lips, living in a dark community, I am in front of the God that is holy, holy, holy. I'm going to die, he says. I'm going to die. Verse 5 says says this, tell us this. So holiness in God has a great impact. The first one, it provokes fears, because it provokes fear in us, because it makes it makes clear to us who we are. We know the fights, the troubles we have, but God sitting on the throne and the angels sing his holiness. And suddenly this man that is a religious with a ministry is there, and he says, I'm going to die because I'm in front of a God 3 times holy. Getting to know him led me to know myself, to know to let to get to know myself. My favorite word is grace. There is a word over any word, the word grace. That is the reason because we are here. From the throne of God, from the throne of God, the Lord touched his mouth and cleaned with a live coal. So there is a relationship between fear and grace, the calling and the faith. The experience with the holiness of God generates this is this is one of my favorite passages because it fits me. The holy God provokes fear because of our condition, but we have been touched by the grace of God, as Isaiah was, and this provokes integrity. It is a desire. Integrity is not perfection because I'm not a perfect person, but integrity is a direction, is an attitude. Integrity is a decision. It was said in verse 7, your iniquity is taken away and your sin purged. 7 centuries before the cross, he receives what God can do in a human being. Your iniquity, your sin is taken away. We only can claim Jesus to get this freedom, this the pardon, the forgiveness comes from God, and this becomes in integrity. Holiness is a condition, and integrity is a direction. Conquerors remember that we need to be sanctified because the Lord is going to do wonderful things. I'm not a person um, good at an art, but I was reading about some pictures and it took my attention that someone was talking about the last dinner of Leonardo da Vinci. We all have seen this picture, haven't you? and I was listening to the story of this picture, that this painting that he started to be painting in 1444, and Da Vinci used the strategy of making a mental drawing and look for models to draw them. Each character there was drawn depending on a model that was related to the personality of each one. He was painting Mateo, blah 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 blah, and then at the end there were two missing, Jesus and Judah, and he was looking for Jesus, and he met someone. Goodness, friendless, goodness features. He looked in a special way, so he went to this person and talked to him. I'm drawing a picture of Jesus, and I'm looking for a model. Could you please help me? And he drew this man, and then one is missing, Judah, and he starts looking for someone similar to Judah. It took 3 years for him. It was really uncomfortable to say in someone, "Oh, you have a Judah face. You have an unhappy face, a traitor face." How difficult to say something, to tell someone that you have a Judah face. He couldn't find someone to have as a model related to Judah. After 3 years, he he found something, and he tried. He went to someone and he said, "I'm Leonardo da Vinci. I'm drawing the Last Supper, and I got to get 11, and I have Judah is missing. Please forgive me, but I want to draw you because I some features on you that are similar to Judah." This man, put his head down and said, "Mr. Da Vinci, I am Pietro Bandinelli. 3 years ago you drew me as Jesus, and my life has been a disaster from then." I was shocked because Pietro Bandinelli, 3 years, in 3 years he passed from having a Jesus face to Judah face. But to me, give me 1 month. I would only need only this. Isaiah was shocked by the holiness of God that produced in him fear and integrity, and he walked in this path 60 years. In second term, the second thing that impacted Isaiah was that he was impressed by God's authority. Remember, Isaiah passed through many kingdoms, but he had a great advantage. The experience, his experience, he could he could defer, he could understand an authority that was trembling than a true authority. I need to know who is governing, and Isaiah understood that kings were temporal kings, but the Lord is almighty. And from all the lessons we could learn from this, I want to take in account with two. Authority provokes braveness. Isaiah there was a question, who is going to do this? And Jesus answers, I will do it. His authority provokes in us courage. He says, here I am, send me. I'm the one who is going to go. I don't know if anybody else is going to go, but I am going to go. It is a conviction that comes directly from getting to know a God that is almighty. It provokes, it makes courage. He went through many things, but his answer reflects conviction, security, and determination. But not only this, but it provokes service, an attitude of serving. This ministry was not only long, it gave it gave fruits. This is Isaiah. Some years ago, many years ago, in that time I had to go by car, and the traffic was was a chaos. San Jose, the city where I was living, is the traffic is terrible. Many cars in a small city, and in a city that is not this bad orchestrated. I was in a hurry. I was coming by car. If if I took the right the right way, but I had to go to the left. So I was in the right way, waiting for a space to go to the left. I was begging God to have some space, and I was low, but it was but the space I had to go to the left was finishing, and when I had a traffic light and it was in green, so I had to take the way the opposite I had to go. At that moment, the the traffic light directing to the way I go, and the one before me was not was not uh, was not was not tent, and I could go to the way I had to go. And I was like, okay, I did it. In Costa Rica, we say I'm a cat, and we could even say, God, thank you, thank you that this man was not paying attention. And then I turned to the left, and 20 meters there, a transit policeman. He puts his hand up, and now I'm a died cat. Everything I had caught, I lost. Stopped me. I knew it was going to be terrible. Points that I lost, the fine. Then you put the best face you can, the Shrek cut, you remember. And the policeman came to me in a cynic way. Interesting um, thing you've just done. Yes, okay, yes. Your license, please. I give it to him. He looks at it, and then the policeman says, does something that shocked me. And he said, Ricardo, where do you work? It is an unfair question because it has nothing to do with him. It's my the way I work is not important. Just put me a fine and that's okay. And he asked, I work as, what do I say? What do I say? That from the things I do, it's not bad for my testimony. So I was there like, there was seconds, but I was saying, oh God. I breathed deeply. Official, I am a pastor. The policeman looks at me. I know to your church. He's a happy person. I go to your church. The longest line. And did you get fined? No, I'm going to tell you. It was a great lesson for me because if I could lie, I would have put a sin over another one. And this day I learned that this, if this authority that was in front of me knew more, he knew how much the Lord that is sitting in his throne, he knows more, the Lord knows more than from me, than what I know from about me, and has no sense thinking I can lie to him. And the last one, Isaiah was not just shocked by his holiness and his authority, but he was impacted also by God's glory. God's glory. It marked him deeply. It's one of these experiences. I invite you to have in mind each thing that what implies to know God's glory. But I want to talk about two of them. God's glory provokes humility. There is proudness and the false humility. The real humility is product of knowing him, because it puts us in our place. Our ego is it's the result of not knowing him. It says, in the year that the king died, the one he had been serving, that king Uzziah had served 52 years, but he decided to give his back to God, and he passed from being a good king to be a bad king. And now Isaiah lives an experience that put him in his place. Present going in front of God balances my life, and it gives us the right perspective of who we are. Uzziah was a great king that did great things, but the he did bad things at the end of his lives, and Isaiah knew that, and now he is in front of God, and he could see that the the, the greatness of God is impressive. In front of God, he could know who he was. Many years ago, I was invited to a congress in the USA, and people that use sport. It was a sport people congress. Many people that are um, sport players that share the gospel through their jobs. And there was a boy there called Rawlings that was playing in the NBA, that is the highest basket level in the United States. He was in he was playing at that time, and then people, do you know that cameras that we had to roll the camera? I see some people with strange things. I think I'm the only dinosaur here. was not digital photos, they were analogic photos. And then when we had made your pictures and then you took it to reveal and try to, we hope that the pictures were right. So some of the Latin people, we took pictures with Rollins because we wanted to have the, this remembering. And then we had photos and someone was sharing the pictures, and but I was happy I had my picture with Rollins, but I was shocked because I was like this table next to Rollins. Look at the picture. Rollins is taller than Shaquille O'Neal. He is 2 meters 20 centimeters. So when he took the picture, when he took the picture, he he was holding he was putting his hand on my head and I was touching his bottom, and I was thinking, oh my god. But suddenly I realized how high, how tall I was. This is what happened to Isaiah. You and me don't know who we are until we get to know him, until we have a living experience with him and he remembers us who we are. We've got a logical sequence here. There is a difficult situation that generates a special research, and this sick of God generates reaction. The sick generates revelation, and revelation generates reaction. John chapter 2. John wanted to prove that Jesus is God. John is talking about Isaiah, sorry. This is what Isaiah said because he saw his glory and he talked about it. Do you know what is the goal of our life? Get to know Jesus. It's going to take us all our life. It's better you start now, because the more I know him, the more I know myself. And the more I know him, the deeper and the longer will be my service to him. I finish. My wife and me and I, my wife and I, we have been pastors in a church um, for 33 years, but a couple of months ago we gave the ministry to a younger couple. We are still members of the community, but when I talk about this, I cannot avoid remembering when we get in the adventure of the first property we bought. and it was an abandoned factory that had a great space. It was a huge property. It was perfect for us. And when we asked for the price, it was really far away from what we had to buy it. And then I remember that we visited the owner, a Canadian woman with many money. He was a widow and he was selling the properties she had. And when we told her what we had and what we could pay, she didn't listen at us. She did in the right way, but he said no. In a good way, sorry, but he said no. I'm not a businessman, so I went with people that know about numbers. My brothers, my friends, businessmen, and they said, "Lady, this and this and the other thing," and I learned what they told, but everything ended it at the same point. No, I'm not interested in your offer. We tried once, one more appointment, and I'm not going to forget that I arrived there and no one else arrived. No one of my friends, no one of the businessmen. I was alone there. And in this appointment was in the lawyers in her lawyer's buffet for my um, background. The important and elegant places um, make me feel small. And when I get to this place on my own, and the lady is there, a Canadian lady, tall, elegant, her sister that looks like a model, his lawyer, all the furniture, luxury furniture, and then something pushed me. I want to run away. What I'm doing here? What am I doing here? So I breathe deeply and I try to go with the God that Isaiah knew. And I said, Lord, help me. And I remember his word, the land is his. Everything is his. The land we want is yours, not hers. So I want to ask you for this land to to do what you told me to do. I I knew by heart the economic equation, and I said, "Okay, lady, Mrs. I'm not going to forget it, Mrs. This is the last time we make you an offer. If we don't do it today, we don't do it never. We won't do it never." So they thought, so maybe they thought what we had another offer, but no, we have the same amount of money, but something has changed. We have gone to we went to the authorities in the cities, and We were told that we couldn't open a church there because of the situation. We needed more space, not only the inner part but the outside. But that's what we have. And there is another point. We went to the bank and they told us we don't have credit, so we need the inner part, the outside part, and we need you to give us the credit. So we can offer you in some years the amount. This is the last time I'm being here in front of you. And I saw the face of the lawyer. He had, he was, he was a sorrow face and surprise face. But there, the Lord, the Almighty God, the God sitting on the throne, worked. Do you know who rules? Him, not the lawyer, not the lady, not the daughter. And the lady said, "Did you listen to the lawyer? Did you listen what he said?" "Yes, I did." And the lady said, "Everything will be the way he says. Everything." I wanted to go to the lady and kiss her. I had to not to do it. And that's the way it was. When I told my friends, the lady said yes. I told all the property. No, no, pastor, they couldn't believe it. They don't believe me. You don't believe me? God wants us to know, to get to know Him, so our ministry can be long, deep, and with fruit. So our lives can be like this. Stand up, please, church.